Grant here, welcome back to Smoov. Today I've got a simple kettlebell workout planned. All you're gonna need is one bell, and I'm gonna use a 12 kilo or 26 pound bell. So that's an encouragement for you to go a little bit lighter. This is gonna give you an opportunity to connect with the weight, really understand the movements, and you can build on that foundation by going heavier later on. So I encourage you to find something that works for a squat, a hinge, and a press. Let's put that bell over to the side and we'll hop into the warm up right now. First move, we're gonna go into the cheese squat. So find a nice squat stance. You're gonna exhale, press the hands out as you sink into your squat. Inhale, pull back and stand tall. Pairing that movement with the breath. Getting into that squat pattern, pressing through the big toe pad, the outer pad, and the heel, and finding that depth that makes sense for you right now. So this is feeling pretty good right off the bat for me. But certain days, my knees are a little creaky. Certain days, things need a little bit more space and time to open up. So allow that to take shape. All right, next up, we're gonna take it into a march. So we're just gonna march in place. And I love this to really wake up the feet and make that connection into the hips. So I'm not just lazily marching here. Good posture, eyes on the horizon, and I'm creating force into the ground. Continuing to drive through that ball of the foot. Continue to grow through your posture. Allow the rhythm to charge you up and let that body heat build. All right, we're gonna set up about shoulder width apart with the feet, and we're gonna go cactus arms, hinge back at the hips, press 5 times. So 2, 3, 4, 5, pull back down, stand tall, and then hinge those hips back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Stand tall, feel those hips come underneath the rib cage, and then we're hinging back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's continue at your own pace. Cool. So circling back, we got that cheese squat once again. Tapping into that lower body, driving pressure through the feet. Sinking into those hips, knees and ankles at the same time. And then standing tall. Allow that breath to be a nice guide for your tempo. So let's say you're sinking down, maybe a little quick. Slow it down. Maybe you want to speed up for the last 10 seconds here. Use it how you want to. I'm just throwing ideas out. Right, so now we're gonna take it into a jog in place. So it's that march, right? It's just faster. So same thing, eyes forward, good posture. Allow that interaction through the ground. Start to work the connection up through the body. Breathing, getting in touch with the torso with the arm swing. Just a few more seconds, keep working. All right, and then once again, we're taking it back to that hinge. So chopping those hips back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Standing tall. Waking up that hinge position, the backside of your body, and also getting in touch with that overhead press. Let's go one more round. Whew. Feel free to shake it out, bounce around. If there's any particular movements or stretches that you like to do before you hop into some work, feel free to get those in now. I'm gonna catch my breath, I'll explain these movements, and then we'll get rolling. So quick overview on the workout. We're gonna go through one round of a little bit more instruction. I encourage you to do this with me. We're then gonna go into 2 more rounds of those 3 exercises, and then we're gonna close things out with a 3 exercise finisher. That one's gonna get the heart rate up, get the core activated. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Hopping into the kettlebell deadlift. So to start out, I'm gonna set up with my feet pointing forward and about shoulder width apart. And I wanna make sure I'm driving through the big toe pad, the outer pad, and the heel of the foot. That's gonna really allow me to load into the hips in this hinge pattern. From here, I'm going to karate chop my hips, right? So check this out. I send my hips back behind me. You can see they're loading and stretching in the back. And I've also got some knee bend here. It's gonna allow me to get to the bell. And I also want you to recognize I'm on top of the bell here, right? I'm not out here with it. I'm on top of that bell. Now, when I grab the handle of the bell, I'm just gonna get a little break here. Notice how my shoulders start to pull into the torso, maybe a little bit down into the lats. And then I'm just gonna lift the bell about 1/2 inch off the ground. And when I do this, I wanna see if I can drive through those feet and feel that load in the backside of my body. And this is what I love about the kettlebell. Whether it's 26 pounds here or 260 pounds, I want to feel that load in the backside of my body. So you can practice loading the hips with very light weight, and this will teach you and this will translate to heavier stuff as well. So bell's hovering off the ground, I'm feeling it in the backside of my body, I can drive through those feet, and then I'm going to stand tall with solid posture. I'm not trying to drive my hips through. I'm just standing tall to feel extension through the ankle, knee, and hip joint, okay? Then I'm gonna hinge the hips back, taking some time to get down to the ground, touch it, standing up. So nice and slow on the way down, using this as a loaded stretch. Staying connected through the core and then driving through those legs, feeling some nice integration through the entire lower body. So I'm gonna hit this for about 8 more reps. Join me on this if you have not already. Load those hips. And notice how my head, my spine is staying in a nice line here. I'm not cranking the neck up here, right? I'm hinging the hips back and everything's staying nice and aligned through the spine. Hinging the hips back. Awesome. Shaking out those legs. So we'll take about 30 seconds before we hop into the squat. And we're gonna set up in pretty much the exact same way. You can make some adjustments once we're in that goblet rack position. I gotta get the bell up to this rack position here. So I'm going to drive through the feet, a little bit more explosiveness through the deadlift as I pull up. And then those handles right there, I'll show you again, hinging the hips back. I'm going to swivel the hands to grab the horns, and then that index finger is gonna just rest on the top as I bring those forearms into the belt. Now, the big thing about the squat stance is finding something that's comfortable for you. So you're gonna see me squat pretty narrow, about hip width apart, with my toes pointed forward. Doesn't mean I never squat like this. Doesn't mean I never squat like this. It's just what I'm gonna do in this particular one. So find something that's comfortable for you. You're going to break at the hips, break at the knees, pull down, and then press up. Maintaining good stability through the core and the upper body. Let's go 3 more. Controlling that weight down. Once again, we're resting. Whew. All right, there's a sweat. It's coming on. Okay, coming down to one knee. I'm gonna go into a half kneeling overhead press. One thing that's really cool about the overhead press is simply changing the position can change the movement quite a bit. So this is gonna help you stabilize in this split stance. Just recognize if you're on a tightrope here, it's gonna be pretty hard to balance. So finding a split there where you can maintain level hips and also have that wide base where you're not gonna be falling over. I'm going to grab the bell with my left hand. I've got this left knee down, and I'm gonna grab the right hand, or the left hand with the right hand, curl that up, and now I'm gonna be in this rack position. I do want a little angle with the handle, so if you notice it's straight, you're just gonna tilt it a little bit there. And then from this rack position, I can either stick this hand out here, act like I'm holding another bell, right? But I'm just gonna go straight up, and instead of turning the handle out, I'm gonna keep things vertical there. I pull back down. So, and I really like that cue of pressing and then pulling back into the torso. So exhale as you press, inhale as you pull back down. All right, and then controlling that bell down. All right, switching sides. I think I probably got about 12 reps there. I'm not really counting in this first one, more focused on making sure you got proper instruction. Same thing, I'm on my right knee, gonna grab with the right hand, curl up with that left hand. If that bell's flat, right, I'm just gonna angle it a little bit. So now this part is driving into that heel of the hand, and it's gonna give me a little bit better comfort as I go through this press. So, okay, round one in the books. We're gonna cycle through those 2 more times. Now, we're going with the deadlift first. If you're feeling like this weight for you is pretty light, I want you to shoot for about 12, 15 reps. That's what I'm gonna do. But if you got something a little bit heavier, shooting for 8 to 12 reps, okay? Same thing, on top of that weight, hinging the hips back, finding that load back here. Before you even pull, you're just gonna barely lift off the ground. Make sure that we're able to feel some of that load transfer back here. Breaking that bell just a little bit, and then slow on the way down, getting that nice stretch. And focusing on standing tall, extending through ankle, knee, and hip. Staying steady with the movement, present with each rep. It's gonna be my last rep here. Controlling that weight down. Whew. I must admit, I am not the best at counting reps. So that's why I encourage you to find that rep range that works for you and work for that given period of time as I'm taking you through it. If you need to take some extra rest, do it. If you need to get a few more reps, do it. Again, just taking some time to get into your body, relaxing out some tension. All three of these moves are pretty high tension, so I encourage you to feel into the other quality of relaxation in between your sets. So same setup, chopping those hips back, finding that bell. We're gonna clean that bell up and then dropping into that squat. Same thing here, right? Making sure that you're breaking at the hips, breaking at the knees, breaking at the ankles, driving through that big toe pad, driving through that outer pad, heavy through that heel. A little bit slower on the way down, and then exploding up. I'm going 3 more. Hinging the hips back. Whew. And shaking it out. We got that half kneeling overhead press coming up next. Still a little rest here. Just want to show you a couple things that I forgot in the first set. I want to make sure that my press is grounded in a strong center. Rib cage is stacked on top of that pelvis. That requires my pelvis to be level, maybe a little bit of tuck there. And then that rib cage, one of the big things you'll see, that flare to get the belly overhead. Keep that stacked. You're gonna get a way better stimulus through this press by maintaining that posture through the rib cage and pelvis. So I'm gonna right knee, right hand, left hand underneath, curl the bell up, little tilt to support that pressing motion, hand out to the side, stacking the spine, and let's shoot for 10 reps on the press here. All right, switching over to the other side. Let's zone in on that press up and then pull down. maybe a couple bonus reps. I do not know, guys. We've got one more round on those 3 strength-based exercises. So making this your best set. Focus on connecting with the weight. Again, all I'm doing is lifting 26 pounds here, but I'm focused on how that weight is loading through my body. Setting up, hinging those hips back, little break of the bell, feeling that integration through the torso, anchored back here through the hips and the pelvis. Controlling it down, putting pressure through those feet, those 3 points of contact. Zoning in on that breath, inhaling as you're going through the hinge, feeling the pressure build in the torso, and then exhale as you stand tall, feeling that compression into stability. I'm gonna hit 3 more here. Keeping that spine in line. Whew. All right, good stuff. Now, I'll probably put music on this video afterwards, but this is usually when I'm doing this stuff on my own. I got some good tunes going on. Maybe I hit that volume button up a couple of times and get some grooves in before that next set. Something that helps me feel into relaxation, helps me feel into my body, my movement. All right, squat time. Face the camera this time. So hinging the hips back, cleaning the bell up, squeezing here, maintaining that stability through the upper body. Controlling the weight down, extending through those legs, standing tall. I got 3 more in me. A lot more, but can't be doing this all day. All right. Whew. Keep it moving. Keep it moving. The other thing about this workout is it's pretty sagittal. A lot of linear movements in one plane. We're gonna change that a little bit in the finisher, but that's where some of this bouncing, moving around can add just a little bit to fill in the gaps that you might be missing in a very sagittal plane workout. All right, I want one more good set of presses here for myself and for you. So let's take a moment to just catch the breath. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Cool. Okay, last set, best set. You've had some time to feel into the movement. Connect with the weight. Doesn't matter how much it is, you can still practice that skill of connecting with the weight. Racking the bell. $100. I have no idea how many I did. Definitely not 100 though. All right, last set, last side. You got it. Staying stacked through the posture, connecting with that weight. I was thinking about doing this workout with a 16 kilo, which I totally could do, all right? I don't know if I'd be able to talk though, so I'm glad I stuck with this weight. Almost there. We got 3 more moves to finish things out. I'm gonna workshop them here. Feel free to get a couple of reps so you feel familiar, and then we're gonna turn it into a 2-round circuit. Like I said, to get that blood pumping, heart rate up, finishing up with a little glisten, maybe a full-on sweat, we'll see. First move, we've already done everything required for this one. We're just gonna turn it into a combo. So I'm going to clean the bell, and then I'm gonna sink down into a squat. Now, as I go down, I wanna keep the bell tight to my body, and then I wanna make sure that I hinge, okay? So I wanna make sure I've got that hinge pattern, that squat, back into the hinge. Ballistic row. I'm gonna come into this hinge position, and I'm going to row and then switch when the bell's up here. So I'm gonna row and then switch. Row and then switch. So there's some nice rotation. You gotta maintain that hinge position. If we start to come up a little bit more, notice how we might lose that rib cage a bit. So staying stacked, good alignment through that pelvis and rib cage. And we're getting this nice rotational row. Last move of the finisher, I'm gonna grab that bell. I can grab the other hand here. I'm gonna swing it up and then bring the other hand underneath. Widen out the stance, toes are gonna point out. And I'm gonna go into a lateral lunge. So I'm gonna track that knee out over toe. And as I do that, I'm gonna rotate back towards the center, and notice how I'm driving through that foot to reestablish that strong position, driving through both feet here, and then sinking into the other side. Again, we wanna make sure that knee is tracking out over the toe, so notice if it starts to collapse, really activate the outside of the hip to establish that, add that rotation. Driving up every time. We're working for 40 seconds, resting for 20 in between exercises. And at the end of the first round, we're gonna take a 45-second break before hopping into the next one. So let's set up. We're gonna be in that hinge position. And let's get it rolling here in 3, 2, 1. Clean, and then squat. Making sure we're back into the hinge. If you're feeling confident with this one, of course, find the groove, find your rhythm, but you can start to pick up the tempo a little bit. Keep working. And rest. Whew. Nice, nice. We got that ballistic row coming up next. All right, let's get set up in that hinge position, chopping those hips back. 3, 2, 1, and go. Row in, switching at the top. Row in, switching at the top. Maintaining good stability through the pelvis. Nice hinge position. Good stack through the core. As the heat starts to build, as you're really starting to feel this through the legs, drive through the feet. It's gonna give you more stability to row. Almost there. And rest. All right, we got that lateral lunge coming up next. So widening out. Establish that pressure through the ground. Bringing that belt up. Sinking into one side. Driving through. Depth is not as big of a concern here. We want to really get into this lateral movement. Trusting the tracking of the knee. Starting to get that rotation through the torso. And rest. All right, like I said, 45 seconds. Catching that breath. At least going in through the nose and out through the mouth. Over the next 25 seconds here, looking to slow it down. All right, I'm gonna get set up for that clean to squat. And go. Creating that differential or feeling the differential between that hinge pattern and that squat pattern. On that squat, trusting the ankles, trusting the knees, trusting the hips, all working together. And rest. All right, Ballistic Row coming up next. Getting set up. And go. Pressure through the feet, making this a full body movement. Everything's integrated to support that row. Finishing strong. Whew. Getting tired. Starting to come up a little bit. Sink back into the hips. Find it. And rest. Woo. So I'm showing the side view on this last one. I want you to check out. I'm staying pretty vertical through the spine. Let's get to work, but there will be some sink into the hips, right? So just finding that nice balance. Finishing strong. You too out there. I gotta realize I got an audience. I'm not just talking to myself. Great work. With that finisher, we're gonna do 2 moves. for our cool down. Really nice and easy. So first one, coming down on your back. Feel free to bend the legs as much as you want to here. We're gonna grab the outside of the feet, doing your best to keep that lower back and pelvis on the ground instead of kind of rolling up here. And then just pulling down on those feet. You can start to begin to extend those legs out. Coming into that happy baby. Breath is moving right now, at least for me. I'm either really out of shape or you're breathing heavy too, so. But using that breath to expand into the torso. And we're just gonna add a little play here. So I'm gonna bend my right knee, start to get a little bit longer through that left leg here. You can see I'm getting some good shakes, awesome. And we're gonna switch. Noticing if you're starting to round the lower back a little bit, it's totally fine, right? You're just having that intention of getting heavy through the pelvis into the ground, or more that tailbone sacrum area. Whew. Awesome, just extend those legs out, get into a nice little wiggle there. And we're gonna wrap up with 5 kneeling spinal waves. So this will be a nice way to get into some extension. So, and some flexion, but all right, flexing through the spine here, and then continuing to roll through that flexion. Coming into extension as those hips start to drive through, okay? Driving through those hands, getting this whole experience of stretching the front side of your body while maintaining a good position through the rib cage. And then I'm gonna start to flex through the spine and then rolling back. Exhale as I'm rounding through the spine. Inhale as those hips drop through into extension. Spend any time here, just kind of wiggling out. Then we're gonna go exhale. Flexing back. 3 more, just like that. Hopefully I'm not just huffing and puffing right into the mic, but if so, deal with it. Alrighty, so that's our cool down right there. Hope you had a great kettlebell workout. Let me know how it went for you in the comments below. If you want some future kettlebell workouts, please let me know that in the comments. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. I will see you next time. Stay smooth.